Hello, I'm Jonathan Tabor. I'm Head of Construction and Inherent Defects for RUL at AGCS. The global construction market is set for a sustained period of strong growth post-COVID-19, driven by government spending on infrastructure and the transition to a net zero society. However, the switch to more sustainable buildings and infrastructure, the upscaling of clean energy facilities, and the adoption of modern building methods will transform the risk landscape with radical changes in design, materials, and processes. These challenges add to currently stressed supply chains, shortages in materials and labour, and increased costs, which all come against the backdrop of years-long tight margins in the industry. Our new AGCS reports, Managing the New Age of Construction Risk, explores both acute and long-term risk trends for the construction sector. The global top 10 construction markets see a continued shift to emerging markets. By 2030, these 10 markets are expected to represent 2/3 of global output, with 4 countries, China, India, the US, and Indonesia, expected to account for almost 60% of global growth in construction over the next decade. Infrastructure is forecast to be the fastest growth sector for construction, with annual average growth of 5.1% globally during the period from 2020 to 2025. This is driven by unprecedented levels of government stimulus. The COVID-19 crisis has significantly suppressed global economic activity. Now that billions of vaccine doses have been administered, governments are endeavouring to stimulate sustainable activity, not only with short-term economic subsidies, but also with long-term strategies for full economic recovery. Depending on the recovery strategies and needs of individual countries, infrastructure spending will require both private and public capital across various industries. Areas set to benefit include energy, with focus on climate change and the transition to renewables; telecommunications, demand for data and online connectivity has significantly increased; healthcare, the pandemic has illuminated the urgent need for increased investment in healthcare infrastructure in many countries; transportation, repairing, upgrading of aging infrastructure; new air rail road links between global, national and regional freight and passenger transport hubs; infrastructure dedicated to promote climate change resilience, for example, storm water management projects; and finally, water treatment and supply and distribution. As part of the report, AGCS analysed close to 30,000 insurance industry claims from 2016 to 2020, with an approximate monetary value of €11.3 billion. Our findings show that fire and explosion is responsible for more than a quarter of the monetary value of all engineering and construction insurance losses, closely followed by natural hazards, which equated to a fifth of all losses. If we look at volume of claims, natural hazards top the table for causes of loss, equating to almost 1 in 5 engineering and construction claims. So what are some of the acute or long-term risk trends for the construction sector to consider? Firstly, sustainability will drive changes in risk profile. The global transition to a more sustainable future, including efforts to cut carbon emissions, will have profound implications for the construction risks. As a significant contributor to greenhouse gas emissions, the construction industry has been singled out for action by the EU, which is committed to becoming carbon neutral by 2050. Upscaling clean energy brings challenging risks. The global drive to reduce greenhouse gas emissions has seen huge investments in the renewable energy sector, in particular wind and solar. At the same time, new low-carbon technologies are being developed, such as battery storage and hydrogen production, that will need to be massively scaled up to meet international emission reduction targets under the Paris Climate Accord. Hydrogen may emerge as a new energy sector, but it brings risks. Achieving net zero will also require huge investment in entirely new sources of power, storage, capacity and distribution infrastructure. For example, a reliance on renewable energy will require large-scale battery storage capacity to smooth out supply, whilst hydrogen is being touted as an alternative to natural gas. Green hydrogen produced using renewable energy could provide a solution to hard-to-abate sectors such as steel, petrochemical and cement industries, as well as being used to power long-distance transportation. Modular construction is growing, but with enhanced exposures. Recent crises, such as the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the development of technology, new materials, manufacturing, machinery and equipment, and increasing reliance on digitalization, have facilitated the emergence of a number of new trends across the construction industry. One of the most important is modular construction, which has developed over decades, although its market penetration and popularity has only increased in recent years. The pandemic has increased claims costs and caused materials and labour issues. The construction industry has proved resilient to the pandemic, with many projects continuing throughout. However, COVID-19 restrictions have increased the cost of large machinery claims, whilst material inflation, shortage of labour, and supply chain disruption may be storing up problems for the future. However, one positive, remote inspections are a success story. Travel restrictions and COVID-19 measures affected the ability of insurers' claims teams to carry out on-site visits and loss adjusting. AGCS was able to maintain service levels for remote claims inspections using technology which will remain a valuable resource going forward. Building in times of extreme weather risks. Extreme weather events have caused large losses for the insurance market in recent years, driven by climate change and growing economic activity in catastrophe-exposed parts of the world. Floods in Europe following Storm Bernd during the summer of 2021 are expected to cost the insurance industry $12 billion, making the event the most expensive natural catastrophe to hit the continent in modern times. Water damage continues to be a major source of loss during construction, in part due to changes in construction methods and materials in recent years. Faulty or incorrectly installed connector or pipe can cause costly damage on site, especially in high-rise buildings and projects nearing completion. Digitalization of construction creates cyber exposures. Even on site, the use of technology is increasing in the construction industry. Robots are beginning to find more uses, such as carrying out specialist tasks like welding and bricklaying, as well as automated plant like excavators. Connected equipment and tools, virtual reality, sensors, wearable devices, and cloud-based platforms are also being introduced to manage supply chains, improve safety, and project management. For more information, please visit our website to download the full report and find out more about our energy and construction insurance solutions. Thank you for your time.